RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Wednesday night live stream, the 5th day of the month of August. And there's a lot of things worthy of talking about tonight. And we're going to be covering the national bailout plans, better known as stimulus relief bills or whatever else they want to call it. And that's just on the fiscal side of things, not to mention the quantitative easing that's taking place on the central bank side. So curious to get your guys' thoughts on how many more bailout plans or relief bills or stimulus packages will they be putting together before a game is over? And then on top of that, how would you define game over? And so we're going to talk about that as well as whatever else is on your mind. And so, as always, any new viewers in the chat room, let me know where you're watching from. Would definitely love to acknowledge your presence, and appreciate you guys for hanging out with us this evening. So let me dive right into the chat. We got Monkey King with a lot of emojis there. We got Jay. I'm here now. We got Victoria. Says this is a new home of Brave Start, or acting like it's throw out those stupid masks. Let's make stand. Understandable. Low blood pressure. What else we got? We got Riley. Looks like Solo. John, Jim, Natural Mom. We got Jim Diggs. Truth or Nothing. So I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. They got that explosion in Beirut was crazy. Yeah, definitely. So as a follow-up to last night's discussion on accident or an attack, clearly from this, I'm sure everyone had a chance to see the satellite view of that region there. And that thing was laid waste, similar to what we witness when there's nuclear or hydrogen bomb type things that go off. So definitely, we're going to be looking for more information on that, because that is definitely a tragedy. I saw something about 300,000 people have been left homeless. And of course, a lot of other people injured and a lot of lives lost. And so definitely a very sad situation that happened yesterday. So what else? Let's keep moving, man. So, okay. So I'm gonna get your guys' thoughts. And so having a chance to look at that, the tit for tat back and forth, the Democrats versus Republicans talking about, coming to some type of agreement. They agreed to agree on having something done by the end of this week. And of course, it's all a political charade as far as them trying to present the facade that they actually care for the American people in the regards of providing relief. And so we look at how these things are always worded. And so we got the CARES Act. We got the HEROES Act. We got the HEALS Act. And so all these acts, of course, they packaged up and looking like it's something that's beneficial for the, Main Street. But we all know that behind the scenes, it's designed to bail out other individuals and throw the citizens crumbs. And so I want to talk about that. Got an article I came across here, going to dive through some of the details. And so everything is being sold primarily, whether it's on the unemployment side of things or the stimulus checks. And so those are the two measurements that they're using to really plaster all this information over the mainstream media to keep certain people's attention and whatnot, but yet not talking about the nitty gritty, the details of what's underneath that they're not willing to reveal, actually who gets the billions upon billions that's going to be included in those trillions. And of course, we know it will find its way to the banks as always. So no surprise here, but the question I threw out there, or I want to put out there, and we'll get into it further, is how many more relief packages or stimulus packages or whatever they want to tally it as will we see before the game is over? And then how would you guys define the game over? So let me know. Two questions in one. Let me know in the chat, and then we'll definitely talk further about that. And so let me check in. Solo says Democrats and Republicans, different parties during the day at the same parties during the night. Jesse Ventura, no doubt, and not at this point, unless you're just not paying attention to what's going on, you're probably still thinking that there's two different parties that's playing tug of war, trying to come up with all types of things for the betterment of humanity or the betterment of this country. But yet we all know that that's not true. We got Jeff from Vancouver. How you doing, my man? Vancouver Island, rather. I'm sorry. Appreciate you for watching us. Let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. Vince G in the building. All right, so I want to get into this article here and then I get your thoughts on what's going on. We got Ravinder from California. Ravi from Cali. Okay, appreciate you for watching. Let's go already. BTC was made for this. And Asia's a decade ahead of us in some regions. This can get any worse moment. It's here. Yeah, but I mean, it's so one man army. So it's definitely definitely bad. It's bad, no doubt. But yet I'm of the mindset it's not really as bad as it's going to get. And so literally we're still unfortunately, I believe, in the tremor phase before the big shebang hits. And so we have a lot. I still think we got some time before, the game is over. And then I'll share with you how I define game over, as far as this whole charade that we're part of. So Cal from Philippines, how you doing, my friend? And so, of course, we got the numbers being thrown out there for gold and silver. And of course, those are leading indicators as to the erosion of confidence in currencies. But once again, I think those numbers are small in comparison to where they will have to go in order for it to be officially game over, as far as this current monetary system and the way it's been set up through the current commercial banking fractional reserve lending model, as well as a centrally controlled Federal Reserve Bank as well. So I still think there's some tools and their tricks they're going to try to come out with. So, hold your horses, and we're going to dive in further. And so just want to throw those two questions out there first. Think about it. Chime in the chat. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Let me know. All right, so I want to get into an article here. And so a good part of what I would imagine a lot of people, primarily those that are probably experiencing issues when it comes to the unemployment side of things, as well as those that are all in all just experiencing some type of hardship due to all this stuff we're going in, because everybody's their lives has been disrupted one way or another. And so the idea of a stimulus is what we're being sold. And so here's an article here, and it was actually entitled "Stimulus Checks." And so just the fact that this news source here is leading off with stimulus checks is something to draw you in, because ultimately people want to find out, will there be another check, which there will be, and then how much will it be, and all that stuff like that. And I saw an article earlier that I didn't get a chance to actually read, but it showed, according to the last stimulus that was given, where those funds went. And a lot of it went, surprisingly, into cryptocurrency as well as metals. And from the Wall Street side of things, a lot of their bailout funds and PPP fund money that they was funneling actually went into the stock market. But your average Joe, more than likely, either spent it on some foolishness or got their weight up or got their digital bag up a little bit more. And so let me see here. It says, Mike, do you think the ASCs will become semi-numismatic with production being disrupted at the mint, and they likely hold that they have to begin rebooting the machines for 2021? American Silver Eagles designs. And so, of course, so everybody know that they're shifting the designs for they're giving them a facelift for the most part, and they have to shut down early. And so I was watching a video earlier, I think it was from Craig Hemke, talking about how it looks like they put out there that they were going to either do more gold or more silver Eagles or whatnot. And it looks like they've chose to put more of their, the mint has put more of their time and effort into silver. And so they're going to crank out as many silver Eagles as they can until they cannot, or until they choose not to, therefore drawn, and creating even more of a demand. And therefore a scarcity will come into play, because nobody in their right mind will be willing to let go of an Eagle. So therefore I can see that being the next, amongst many other things, being a major catalyst for silver price taking off and making silver Eagles of all years. I don't know about the semi-numismatic, but they'll definitely carry a much greater premium than anything else, any other generic round, and factored in that they're legal tender. And I'm also hearing some whispers about the Treasury has some things in mind with how to implement that back in the monetary system. So for whatever it's worth, yeah. But all right, so let me get to this article. Okay, so stimulus checks. So as of now, it looks like, the tit for tat stuff between the right and the left paradigm happens to be around, I think the bigger issues. And so the bigger issues appear to be on the Democratic side, them wanting to incorporate that. And so here's an article here. Let me see here. And so, it looks like the Democrats are playing hardball. They want 3.4. Initially, it was 3, so they want 3.4. And so their numbers going up, and the whole compromising on trying to come up with an ideal numbers to satisfy all involved is where this thing might be drawn out for quite some time now. And I think a lot of this on the Democratic side is like a stalemate to really inflict more discomfort and pain upon the unemployed, as well as the population that's suffering from this lockdown, and as well as the small businesses or whatever. Because if nobody has confidence of having currency, then nobody's spending. So that's creating another problem. So I think this is a deliberate attempt by the left to slow things down from the right, which happens to be the ones who sign the pen, who sign the checks for the most part. And so I think this is a lot of tit for tat back and forth. But a part of this happens to be about the stimulus check. So here's an interesting article here. I won't go through it in depth, but I'll put it out there for you guys. But it just gives a little breakdown as to the nuts and bolts of it. But everything has to do with the $1,200, which seems to be the going rate for the stimulus checks that everybody get. Now, the second tier of possible arguments is as to whether or not, all parties involved in the household will be considered $1,200 or back to that $500 for kids or whatever. So something worthwhile here. But I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on this. And I want to continue on with that question that I put out there at first. And the question is, how many more of these national bailout plans, is what I call them, national bailout plans, because it's really designed to provide liquidity to get back into the hands of the banking sector. How many more of these current relief plans will we have? So we have one officially, the CARES Act was rolled out, and it only lasted maybe 3 months, give or take. And there's some hiccups with that. And so I've read articles about the PPP, money that was incorporated in that is scattered all around the place, and people, buying Lamborghinis with it, and people, it did not serve its purpose, which was faulty in and of itself. But now we got the Heals or Heroes Act. So will there be a winner, or will they come up with another bill that's more of a compromise type of bill? I'm curious to hear what you guys feel about this. And so let me check back in the chat. And so Tony Blair says the Bank of America had a glitch today. I did not hear about that. Tony, chime in more on that glitch. What type of glitch was it? Did you look at your screen and it said 0, or you couldn't log in and get to your screen, or what? Let me know. Okay, so I see something here about silver back up the top. I'm way up in the chat, but it says someone mentioned they went and got some weight. Who was that? Okay, so Solo, I'm looking back in the chat feed behind a little bit. It says, just bought another 25 American Silver Eagles tonight. Cost me about $1,000. Yeah, $1,000 for some Silver Eagles. Yeah, man, that's it is just the beginning. It is just the beginning. Jeff Sneak says, highest unemployment rate on record currently, homeless problem out of hand. No doubt. And so all this national bailout plan on the surface is meant to provide some temporary aid towards those that are about to experience the foreclosure on homes. The moratorium situation is another issue that they're trying to iron out. And so it looks like as of today, there was some compromise, and it looks like the right did budge, as I said they would. Was it 2 months ago? I mentioned that by the CARES Act throwing out that $600, there was no way they will be able to reel that back in without there being some type of backlash. And so Trump, in order to keep this show going, would have to meet them close to that 600. And so I saw an article where it looks like Trump has basically got on board with the $600 extension as well until the end of the year. So that looks like all those details might be complete, but it has to do with the moratoriums, which they're talking about extending until December. In an article I read, as well as what else? And that was it. But the payroll tax situation. So for those watching today, I'm sure you had a chance to see about Trump mentioning that he would be willing to go around and determine, he floats some type of executive order. So here's another article here. Coronavirus stimulus. stimulus. So exactly the word stimulus. Why wouldn't they just put bailout? Because Yeah, bailout means yeah, okay. But you guys get that. You get the use of words here to make it seem like it's real patriotic. Stimulus says Trump floats executive order on suspending payroll tax, but has limited authority to do so. And so I've been looking at all types of news articles throughout the day talking about whether or not he has the rights or not to do so. And so some lawmakers have said he does, some said he doesn't. Okay, so payroll tax. Okay, sure. But the payroll tax will only benefit the small few out of the total population that's actually fully employed right now. So it really wouldn't benefit, it really wouldn't show up in people's pockets in a beneficial way right now anyway. So that lets me know that the payroll tax has more to do with the interest of the business as opposed to the employees, as well as all the things that will not be taken out of the taxes, such as Social Security and things of that nature. So, all right, I'm doing too much rant. Let me get to you. So let's get back to the original question I threw out there. In your opinion, via chat, real quick, how many more relief bills before game over? Or I can shorten that up and say, how many more relief bills before the end of 2020? Will we get whichever version they choose to work with, whether it be the Heroes or the HEALS Act? But then again, that only going to get us through Q3. So Q4, there's going to be a need for another bill or bailout plan, I believe. And then what? How many more of those things do we get in 2021, or will game be over? All right, so I see some answers out there. It says one more before election. Okay, one more before election. So whatever is going to be passed now, HEALS or HERO, will be done probably end of August, more than likely, and rolled out, fully implemented, all the legalized counterfeiting done and liquidity dispersed, heading into September. And then that gives us October, then November. And then... can everyone still see Mike? What's the question? I'm still here. I think so. Hey, Ron, how you doing, my man? And so we got, yes, dropping off. What we got? Says two. Also, Victoria says 2 more relief bills, and then there will be UBI. Okay. I can definitely get with that one. 2 more. So 2 more this year. And so, or what, or one last relief bill in Q1 of 2021, and then UBI by Q2. And so Solo says, I say 3 more relief bills before it's over. I say 1 more before this year. Okay. And so Timothy says 2 and it's done. Okay. So we get some feedback here. And then I see I missed some calls. So let me get to those in 1 second. It says Congress was arguing 4 or 5 or 6 when they was passing the CARES bill. Okay. So that's a large amount. And so clearly 4 or 5, 6 would take us, 4 or 5 or 6 type of relief bills would take us into the end of 2021 type of thing. And of course, that's what they have planned and would like to do. But I'd imagine between now and then, there's going to be a lot of shakeup, there's going to be some unforeseen things that will definitely derail those plans of releasing 4 or 5 or 6 stimulus or bailout plans. And so Mikey says one stimulus before election. Mike should have paid his bill. And so, okay. Well, so thumbs up in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me pretty well. It looks like Mr. A.A. Ron is having some issues. But I see myself pretty good, fine on this side. And so let me see. Rolf says the money goes to the peasants and then straight back to the cabal of the bankers. The game of the monopoly is over. You lost. They just give you 200 for pass and go. Victoria says UBI by Christmas. Okay. Says Q4 will be chaos. I'm glad we're in BTC and others. 20th century will be the Wall Street era. Old versus new. Here we go. We've been doing $1 trillion a month, bro. So yeah, and I saw an article. Let me pull this up here. That once again, the numbers they put out there are so small in comparison to the magnitude of problems that the world faces. Nevertheless, this country. And so we're just talking about. So factor in when I mentioned game over. I'm also talking about on the monetary side. So right now, all we're talking about is the fiscal response from the government as to the amount of debt that they're going to issue that the Fed would then purchase. And so I saw an article that said between now and end of the year, they're expecting $3 trillion, I think, to be either added to the Fed's balance sheet and then it was $2 trillion to be issued in treasuries between now and the end of the year. And that's all according to their plan. But yet we all witnessed that their plans do not go as according to the way they foresee it. So El Monte says war by first quarter of next year. Okay, that's a whole nother ball game right there. I didn't think about that. Let me see. I having trouble. Let me see here. Okay, it says the YouTube app works fine for me now on browser. Okay, so yeah, so if there were any issues with the YouTube on the phone or whatnot, I apologize. It's one of the things where everything looks good on my side here. So, all right, so everything is good. This isn't coincidence now happening to multiple channels. Oh yeah, so once again, as I mentioned, by end of Q3, all alternative media might be removed, or all the ones that has been good at waking people up to what's going on. All right, so enough of me ranting, man. I apologize. I missed a lot of phone calls. Let me hear from you guys. And so we got some good feedback thus far on the amount of bailout plans that will be rolled out. And of course, those are just the left and right going back and forth as to how much, because they're trying to, walk into this slowly, because it's going to be a long, drawn out process, as opposed to, Trump and the what's his name, Mitch McConnell, doesn't want a three trillion, saying that that's too much. So they talk about a 1 trillion. And so they want to just one all the way until what? As opposed to just go ahead and just do it big, do it big one time and just really ramp up and speed this game up. I mean, they all know where this is going. Just speed it up, man. Because the longer we wait, it's like a slow burn. The more it's going to hurt. It's just like, it's like you killing. That's a bad analogy, but you're killing a patient slowly. Just go ahead and put them out of his misery, man. And what I mean by that is the game over aspect. So what I was talking about earlier was, so just do 666 trillion. Sad enough, in order to account for the total global debt denominated in Federal Reserve notes and the derivatives game, the derivatives game is a 1 quadrillion plus. So you factor in 1 quadrillion of imploding financial inner workings of a system that nobody truly understands but the banks themselves, and you factor in all the debts that the nations around the world have taken on, and that's going to be on the monetary side. So that's what the Federal Reserve going to have to deal with on our behalf, of course. But let me see here. So let me get the phone right, because I missed some calls. I see it going off. And so let me get your guys' thoughts. And also, the next question on top of that is how many more. So we got how many more reliefs before game over? And so how do you guys define game over? And so game over can mean, it can cover a variety of things. But when it comes to the world or the monetary system and the financial sector, the way we've known it to this point, what is game over? I'm curious to hear what you guys think, and I'll, of course, share mine as well. But we got a call here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, my friend. What's going on with you?
Up to no good, man.
So what are your thoughts? So you're saying they anticipate 4, 5, 6 more bailout plans or relief bills. But then again, when does that lead to game over? And how would you define game over?
Well, when this thing went down, I purposely watched to see what they were going to do with the CARES Act. Mm-hmm. And they were arguing on the Senate floor that they were looking at bills 4, 5, and 6. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, 4, 5, and 6? We're just at 2 now. Mm-hmm. So, this thing has been going on for a while. And they can't, until they can figure out how to get liquidity in the markets, mm-hmm. and fight deflation. And that's the other thing, man. What if we're wrong? What if actually the Fed is fighting deflation and jawboning inflation to keep the balance?
I don't doubt it. And so I think one of my last guests, the technology gentleman, I can't think of his name, but he was arguing that deflation is inevitable. And that's what they've been fighting forever. And they use the narrative of we're not reaching inflation target, but it actually the economy is contracting overall. And that's why there's a need for continuous liquidity, because as the debts implode, stores close, people don't spend, that's deflationary. So they need to get that stuff going again, which it only leads to, more of what they know best, which is to expand the monetary base and to pump liquidity every day, where to inflate. So deflation is definitely an issue.
The deflation is the reason to me that nobody else is competing with the dollar. I can print all the money I want, but if you can't overtake me, we're just fighting deflation.
Yeah.
They can go to negative interest rate at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe so.
and nobody's going to do anything about it.
Right.
And that is the worrying part to me, that if we go to deflation, then this thing could be worse than we even think.
Yeah, I would say, but and then here's a reason why I believe that, when it comes to the word game over, is that game over will be the day that, and I'll put these graphs up on the screen here. And so as of right now, as long as currency is not circulating, and so right now, because of the velocity of money is basically not moving, like the average person is not spending like they normally would. Therefore, they're going to save more. And so therefore, even in the banking sector, as I mentioned, from the commercial deposits, they're at all-time highs. Therefore, people are going to continue to save until, and so there's going to be need for some type of event to then force people to have to, or where we collectively all agree upon the fact that this currency is no longer able to do much for me, and then the velocity spikes because they're looking to go get rid of it as fast as they can. And then I think that might come from the supply chain side of things, because I'm hearing pretty soon that, the grocery store, all the issues, because the trade situation is still faltering now. Therefore, there's going to be a shortage of actual life necessities arriving sooner than later. And then that's when people will have to spend more to compete on prices, because the price of goods and services will definitely start to pick up. And then the velocity shoots up, and then people start withdrawing from banks. And so that, to me, will be game over, because that's lack of confidence right there in the currency itself, which could be, another year or so, maybe, in my opinion.
That's still not game over.
It will be game over from the standpoint that the Federal Reserve note, if a confidence was lost from the actual citizens of this country, then at that point, what good would your national currency be?
What good is every currency against the dollar?
So that's how good it be. So, but then they're going to be experiencing the same exact problem. So if there is a pin that can prick this whole bubble of our, what we're talking about now, it could come from overseas, I believe, because right now the world is not, necessarily, everybody's rushing to gold and silver from an investment standpoint. Therefore, they're cashing in those dollars to do so, and their own national currencies.
No, if you're the Fed, you give them $1,200 every 3 months, and then they pay their bills, and you purposely depreciate the dollar that way.
Yeah, but think about this. The cost of those items you're referring to, the utilities will go up. Fruit, groceries will go up. Gas will have to go up. So those items will go up. Therefore, that $1,200 won't do as much. So they're going to have to crank it out faster or provide more of that. Call itself giving us a bonus by doubling up, saying $2,400. But at some point, I don't know how it's going to come to an end. That's why this is so interesting to me. But it can't go on forever.
I say that it can't go on forever. You're right. But I say that as long as the Fed can keep their hand on the spring, then it'll go on for a while. It'll be a situation where it would be deflation, then we'll pass inflation into hyperinflation.
I could definitely see that. So time frame. So just based upon what you're sensing now, give me a time frame. Just throw out a time frame from deflation, skip inflation directly into hyperinflation.
Mike, you want me to you want me to give you the curse? You're cursing me by telling me give me a time frame. I think that by the end of the year they'll be talking about a new dollar. And for this thing to get full blown, there has to be something set up. And right now there's nothing. This could go on for 2-3 years, just constantly getting worse.
Yeah. Well, ultimately getting worse, meaning the cost of living becoming outrageous and confidence gone, and a miserable sense of livelihood in this country and around the world, for that matter, along with them rolling out the digital, whatever they're going to be rolling out digital wise.
Right. But here's the key. They can't have you in the streets. They got to have you COVID.
Yeah. So
they can't have people in the streets. They can't have people getting together. Everybody has to be scattered, not on one page, and they can control this thing. But once people get in the streets and there's homeless people, and they'll forgive all the mortgages, I even believe. That if you can pay 30% of your mortgage over the last 4 months, then they'll have to accept that. But you cannot say, okay, we're done with the mortgage situation. You got to pay that mortgage. There's no way they're going to be able to do it. There's no way they're going to do that.
Right. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. Like what's it to drain a drop out of a what is it? It's the old adage my grandma used to drain a drop out of a turnip or something like that. That's how it's
turnip blood out of turnip.
Yeah, that's describing how broke you are.
Right, but look what they did for us for 4 months. I don't see people in the streets. Are we that stupid? Are we that dumb?
Yeah.
We ain't got enough common sense to say that I'm out of a job, but you still eating and you still got the lights on. You still got. I mean, you're still driving up to Nook Nook's house.
Hey man, I appreciate you as always.
Keep your head up, Mike.
Yeah, be good.
All right, bye.
Yeah, man. Good stuff as always, man. Tony, good to hear from you. All right, so feel free to chime in. Let me know what's in your mind. And so phone lines are open. Let's talk as well. If you're enjoying it back and forth, don't be afraid. Hit the thumbs up button beneath this video here, and definitely show your support for the channel. And then also, we started off earlier. I think it was Solo, if I'm not mistaken, mentioned about having gone out today and purchased 25 Silver Eagles for $1,000 or so. Give me a base in the chat for my precious metals lovers. You know, where's the spots that actually still have metals or Silver Eagles, like just deliverable right now, not none of that be ready to ship in 2 or 3 weeks and stuff like that. Anybody have any recommendations they want to put into the chat tonight so we can all get a little heavier tonight or something like that? Let me know. Throw it out there in the chat. And so what does the game over mean? And so my thing is game over until the majority of the U.S. population as a whole realize that their biggest problem is their national currency, the game can still go on. And so it's not until based upon what we witnessed in Venezuela and Zimbabwe, when the people themselves realize that their greatest financial liability is their national currency, and that's when game is over. And you can no longer hide all the manipulation of markets and stuff like that, because people know, if I get paid, soon as I get paid, I have to get rid of that stuff type of thing. And then also that creates the scramble for real goods and services. Brian says JM Bullion. So I checked JM Bullion today, and their Eagles are out. And so they say check back by August 14th or something like that at Max. Otherwise, people will get LS maybe, LCS maybe. Where's that at? Let me know what that is. It says Mike. Read. I missed that right there. It says the majority is so dumbed down they think there's a virus out there going to drop them like a pennies on home. Okay, so a lot of people out there, and that's where I mentioned the other day when we talked about the Federal Reserve note in the banking system, and I tweeted out there that banks are not your friends, and so I had imagined something that would also probably create some mistrust in the system is the banking sector. So Tony, you also mentioned that Bank of America had a glitch. And so pretty soon, the GSIBs, the globally systemic important banks globally, which are already having issues under the surface, those problems are going to rear their heads out above water. And that's where the Federal Reserve and all central banks will continue to do more of what they already do, which is to try to provide liquidity. And it's only so much liquidity you can provide before it further ruins lives. Too much currency ruins lives. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello. I'm William from San Diego. I called you the other week.
Yes, sir. William, how you doing, my man? What's going on? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm just listening to your programs always, and I'm excited to be able to speak with you. I just wanted to let you know that the silver pricing, I believe, is still going up. I'll tell you why.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It has to go up. Go ahead.
Yeah. I've had eBay listings for silver since 2017 on eBay.
Uh-huh.
By auction. 100% exclusively by auction.
Yeah.
And today's close on a Australian Perth Mint silver bar, 4 9s,
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah.
$39.99 delivered plus tax.
Okay. Oh, so hold on. Say that one more time. What brand was that again? What style again?
The 1 ounce bar sold for $40.
1 ounce bar sold for $40. Really? Okay.
Yeah, so all the listings now are like the ceilings. The floor is now $30 or so for 1 ounce. And 6 months ago, you remember, everybody was saying for 5 years, anything under $20 is okay.
Yeah, how time flies, huh? Just a couple months ago.
Well, yes, go ahead.
No, I'm saying just a couple months ago, we were talking about 20 being too much, and then when the price dropped down to $11 or $12 within that day, premiums was $6 or $7, and I was saying I got stuff for $17, and so it was one of them things where now. So just think about this. Every month I believe is going to get worse as far as being able to actually get physical the way what you like anyway, and so. The way it's looking now, we may have a every day increase in this price of silver until it jumps to 5, then 10, and then and that could be more of a game over type of scenario. But go ahead.
Oh no, I enjoy listening to your financial common sense, because in 2002 I actually was sponsored by General Electric, GE Financial Assurance on Six Forks in Raleigh, and I received a Series 6 and 63. Which is licensing for corporate capital consulting. The Federal Reserve signed off on me.
Really?
Yeah, but everybody, I'm a salesman, so anyone can do that. You just have to. But I didn't fail the test. I mean, I had to study. The thing is that anyone can get sponsored, for example, in a career for financial investment if you sign up with, let's say, Fidelity.
Yeah.
Most college grads could get a job. It's just that it pays out only $15 an hour to begin with. It doesn't teach you how to make profit.
Yeah. Well, hey, man.
I've only learned that in the last 5 years that was 2002. This is 2020. So only in 2015 did I start to actually manage corporate capital and do some consulting, which I can tell you about. I was going to message you, but it's complicated.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate you as always for calling in and sharing your thoughts. Good to hear from you. Keep doing what you're doing, my man. I appreciate you.
Certainly, I'll be in touch with you though directly, because I have some good, positive, not solutions, but ways in which money basically can be made to work for us instead of just like for me. And that's the sort of consensus I would like to achieve with, not with anyone. I'm not selling anything. I'm just saying I'll get in touch with you. I have good ideas.
Good deal. Well, please do so. Shoot me an email, my friend. Appreciate you.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, be good. Bye. Yes, sir. Thanks for calling in. So, so I put up that price right there, man, and just look at that, man. Like, to me, it's literally it's the first inning, in my opinion. First inning, like it's probably it's still actually it's not even the first inning as far as where it's going to go. We're still up in the warm up phase. Like literally, we're just like getting out the car, getting stretched, getting warmed up to take the court to begin warming up more, so type of thing. And so just and a lot of this has to do with all the manipulation and in the paper game coming apart, and the idea that it's hard to continue to suppress the true price of things when the entire planet right now is having issues as far as the central banks and things of that nature. So, but so you say, all right, let's talk. So let me hear from you guys, as always, for those timing in. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. And so Solo says, silver ready to take off like a... Oh, man. Solo, man, you're one with those... Funny. So everybody in the chat, I'm sure you can see what he wrote, so I don't have to repeat it. King D says, Trump ain't doing nothing but lying in people's face for 5 years now. So, so that's where, at this current moment, man, with this back and forth tit for tat, make America great again type stuff, the economy is already crumbled. It's hanging on by a thread. And according to what the extreme left, the radical side of politics, what they are outright and bluntly, not even trying to hide their idea of wanting to keep citizens safe by shutting things down, as well as trying to tell which businesses are essential or not. Think about, from all the small business standpoint, and the fact that none of the so I pretty much concluded based upon evidence for looking at this for last for 120 plus days, is that if your company is not a publicly traded company where the bankers and the 1% can have a stake in the game as far as being able to make profits off of you directly, you're labeled as dispensable and your business is out of business. And so if you look at all the businesses that are open right now that have been doing it phenomenal, happen to be publicly traded companies. And so I'm not sure about all of them, but on the majority, most small businesses are not publicly traded companies. Therefore, they're expendable because the goal is to consolidate power and to shrink down commerce and retail and everything down to just the big boys. And so that right there has become quite obvious. So therefore, think about all the small businesses, family businesses, you name them, that were already, probably competing against the big stores, to where now it's done. It is no hopes in any of those returning, and that's all by design. Sad enough to say. What else we got here? So yeah, feel free to call in. So for those that might have came in late, the question was, I initially threw out a two-part question for most part. How many more of these bailout plans? And so I start off by sharing this article here. Didn't really dive into it just because it's quite long and lengthy, but it does a good job of trying to highlight some of the benefits that's being offered in this bailout plan for the citizens, which is the $1,200, the extension of the unemployment, as well as whatever else is they're going to try to throw in there. And so eventually, here's something I'm thinking is coming probably in the next bill. So we're going to have the Heels and Heroes. It's going to be labeled Heels/Heroes Act is how this is going to be thrown out there because of the compromise on both sides eventually. But then the next bill, what's going to be included in the next bill? And so will the next bill be another $1,200, a continuation of unemployment, or the rollout of the Fed accounts where the Federal Reserve will probably get in directly and start issuing, direct payments in the form of a bank in themselves, the bank of banks, for depositing funds directly to get to the people, because it's coming. It's just a matter of how many more relief bills or bailout bills from now. And then the last one will be how many relief bills before they start forgiving debt. And so we still get student loan issues going to be an issue because this upcoming semester, we're going to have a large amount of kids deciding not to go to college because a stay-at-home model, paying the same amount of currency, is not really all that beneficial. And then what else? And so in the real estate game, the commercial-backed real estate and those CLOs, all that stuff, that's going to come to a halt. By the end of this year, the numbers will be through the roof of people who will not be able to make due on any of their bills. And so will there be some debt forgiveness? Will there be some debt forgiveness that the government will decide to roll upon themselves, preferably, and try to take care of? Or will they try to package that in just more currency? Curious to find out what you guys think. All right, what we got here says, Solo says, Mike, I want to know where they came up with giving us $1,200 while giving corporations billions. I think that 1,200 number was obviously a predetermined number, because if you look back, what was it during the last was it TARP during President Obama time frame? Wasn't that like 1,000 or something like that? And so, I forgot, but let me know. I think it's 1,000. I think it's 1,000. And so basically 10 years later, so that 1,200 was probably just what was it called? This inflation adjusted. So based upon that first 1,000, they just threw in an extra 200 on top of that to say, taking into effect of that 2% inflation over 10 years equates to $200. So that's how they came up with 1,200 more than likely. What else we got? It said if they don't keep unemployment near the same level, this country will be flames by election day. And so here's the thing, King D, employment. So let me see. Of course, and here's the thing, they got all types of ADP, payroll taxes, payroll numbers coming out. So all that stuff coming out. Of course, the numbers is, as I mentioned last night, don't, they've been lying the whole time. They're not going to start telling the truth now. But with 54 million. Let me find this roughly 5.4 million struggle. So let me see here. Let me see here. So here's something here. It says U.S. workers file, and this was last week, so I'm assuming this week will probably be the same. U.S. workers file 1.43 million more jobless claims as crisis total tops 54 million. And so, mind you, 54 million out of 330 million Americans, of which 74 million are retirees, and what is it, another 80 million or so are not even in the workforce altogether. That leaves only maybe 30 or 40 million that's left. They will probably be encompassed in that essential title for the most part, as well as entrepreneurs and small business owners, whatever. But yet there's no tax revenue coming, so they're going to have to keep funneling funny money, and therefore there's going to be bailouts from here until game over. And so that's just the way the cookie crumbles, my friends. Deflation first, then, and massive inflation. Yeah, so deflation is what we're currently experiencing now with all the debt implosions, and it's primarily hitting the banks extremely hard. And of course, this current financial model can't work in a contraction style economy where people are not paying their debts, stuff like that. So they have to start trying to provide payments for people or to give it directly to the banks themselves, which is, of course, they're doing that as well. But yet, as I mentioned before, we haven't even started the first inning as to where this stuff is going. I will wait on real estate, and the market's going to crash a little bit. People are going to lose their homes down the road. Yeah, so real estate game. So that's where I remember talking, a year or two ago, how the Warren Buffetts and those people who were already telling people. I remember I was telling people in 2017, 18 that the top players and all this stuff had already sold out their equities and were starting to let go of their real estate pretty much when it was starting to head back up towards a peak, and they were sitting in cash. So that's why I remember talking about the money mutual funds were overly crowded with people trying to hold on to some cash for the day that things go on sale. And so when that day comes, there will be more than enough people out there swooping up everything, because everything will be on sale. And it's sad to say that the sales will come at the expense of the majority of the population that has no clue as to the true nature of what's currently underway right now. Sad to say. So I missed a couple calls. Feel free to give me a call back. Love to hear from you. What else we got here? That 1,200 just to keep you from looking at what they are really doing. No doubt. And as I mentioned earlier, I found a survey somewhere where they were talking about where the majority of that stimulus went, and it went into people looking to save in their bank accounts, i.e., commercial banks are at an all-time high with saver deposits, and then also people getting their weight up, as well as people getting into the crypto game. So the next pretty much like this is good to say. Everybody here, I'm sure, if you ever receive anything from Uncle Sam, or when they start rolling the Fed accounts directly, everybody here pretty much is going to be rushing to put it into something that will retain value over time. And it's going to be a mad dash to get your weight up even more so. So people be willing to buy anything at some point, because as silver eagles become very scarce in nature, I'd imagine people will be willing to pay a heavy price for them, or being willing to buy junk silver, any type of silver you can get your hands on. All right, let me get you here. I got somebody. 1 second. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure. It's Christy. How's everything going?
I'm doing good. Low blood pressure. What's up with you, my man? What's in your mind tonight?
Nothing. I just want to talk about this. Everybody's talking about the market's going to crash. They always compare it to the 29 crash.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen, man, because back then they had sound money. They didn't have a printing machine like they do now. I don't think the market's ever going to crash. I think it's just going to hyperinflate with everything else. You had that caller earlier saying, Tony, I think from Oakland.
Yeah.
he was saying they're fighting deflation.
Mm-hmm.
What deflation, Mike? They printed $2.2 trillion.
But
what deflation? I don't see it.
But it hasn't hit Main Street yet. It has not hit. It has not hit to the point where we're seeing an outright inflationary. Of course, we know the real inflation number is 6 or 9% or whatever, it's not 2%. But deflation in the form of, I know several places in the housing market, a lot of houses are coming down, and so that was a bubble that was extremely high. But then the air is being let out the bubble in certain areas, i.e., New York, right now especially. And so there are certain pockets of areas where the money's been lost and prices are going down, and that's what.
But
yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. I don't think real estate is inflationary, because real estate is based on how much you could borrow. You know, it's the what do you call it? The commodities and everyday items.
Mm-hmm.
That's where inflation is hitting. You know.
Yeah. So watch this. So the house. So over the last couple years, me in particular, I know everybody. The if you Zillow your house or whatever, you'll see that it has gone up in accordance with the area itself and all that other stuff like that. And so that to me is a sign that as the price rise, that's a result of the banking model and them being able to lend at cheaper rates, therefore expanding the monetary base, i.e. credit, which then goes into the housing market, which pumps the price up. So that's what I would consider inflation.
But see, I don't see a bank letting borrow. The creation of credit by bank is not really inflation. You know, creation comes from the Fed when they pump out the money. You know what I mean? That's secondary, I think.
Yeah.
Credit creation.
Yeah. So what about the fractional reserve lending model itself? Because once a signature is signed, currency is created and then put on the balance sheet of and then you can take the cash out and then you sell it. So it's that, the 10 for 1, like $1 can create 10. And that's how we got to, I think probably was 30 trillion a while ago. I don't know what it is now, but of total assets in existence.
Now Mike, they have no limit now. Mm-hmm. Now it's unlimited.
Yeah. And that's funny. Isn't that funny that it's unlimited now? There's no restrictions, but yet they're still being stingy with cutting down certain credit cards, and they're being very meticulous as to who they're lending to now, all of a sudden, assuming they have to cover their ends up for all the losses they're taking with all these defaults and stuff, and bankruptcies is coming, that they're holding on to those products they issued themselves.
Yeah, that is kind of strange, Mike. I don't understand that either. Why they now they're being stingy, but yet they have unlimited power. I think they found some guy that was using credit cards to buy gold and silver. I think that's what they stopped all that.
I wonder who that is. Hey, man.
All right,
I appreciate you calling.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes,
all right.
Be
Thanks.
good.
Have a good night.
You too. Good stuff, man. Yeah, and that's an interesting phenomenon. The fact that in March, I think it was March 23rd, the Federal Reserve removed all restrictions on commercial banks from having to keep deposit limits. So it's free willy now. They can do whatever they want, but yet we're being told that they're being stingy. And I even saw that they're being, real restrictive with their lending practices. Even in the real estate game, I'm hearing certain players are not lending as freely as they normally would, even though interest rates are going down. So what's up? So I'd imagine they're trying to cover up their back end because, the CLOs and the derivatives and all those products they created to profit off of is not really profitable if people are employed, able to pay on those debts. So yeah, man, that's even more of a sign that there's going to be a banking meltdown pretty soon. And then here's another, I want to share with you guys an article that I came across. Let me see if I can find it. And it has to do with, let me find it. It has to do with, let me see here. No, let me find it. Give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can find it, or I may not be able to find it. Okay, so I don't have it. But the article was about how high-yielding savings accounts are pretty much no longer high-yielding. So the concept of high-yielding, where just think about this now. Think about where we're at now. Because of the global catastrophe we're all witnessing, it's a monetary issue at its core, but it's reflected in the financial realm. Therefore, financial products are artificially propped up. Currencies are being manipulated and driven into the floor. Therefore, think about all the people who still value, their paycheck as they receive it. It's automatically deposited and it sits there, and you still keep it in a savings account in your bank, and you're getting right now point 0.06 for a checking account, and then high savings accounts, which were what was offered as being high yielding, they're paying less than 1% now. So I think national average is 1%. So no matter what you put in there, you're getting 1% on top of it. And just the banking model itself is crumbling, and it's sad that the majority of people still think the banks operate in their best interest. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, Mike, it's Brando Commando. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Brando Commando. What's up with you, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, my friend showed me something interesting today. I was laughing my pants off.
What's that?
Do me a favor. Could you pull up libertydollar.org? Anyone ever heard of Liberty Dollar?
God.
So this guy started printing his own or minting his own silver coins, maybe in like 2006.
Yeah,
and he started up.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so he started minting his own Liberty Dollars and getting businesses to like sign on and accept them. And he had like a whole bunch of people like accepting these silver dollars that he made himself, and he made a business around it.
Yeah.
And if you open up the website, like it definitely has like, it's an organization that literally sells these, they call them like warehouse certificates, because it's like a bond of a business.
Yeah. And
he encourages like local small businesses to accept it. So I saw this hilarious YouTube video of him going around town, like buying stuff with these like silver dollars, and everyone's like, "Oh, cool, silver dollar." And then like 2008, the government arrested him and brought him up on counterfeit charges.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he served like 3 years probation, but they're still in existence because they found a loophole. So they literally print up their own like fiat currency and kind of encourage like local businesses to accept it because it's outside the system.
Yeah, so I got the page up here. So I remember hearing about that. So these coins here are what they're using, or this is what he attempted to use before he got arrested?
So it's both, right? He has like silver dollars, and then he also has like these silver certificates that if you can buy them from the company, and they say that they're selling them at a rate of like $25 per ounce, and then they'll give you the paper, and they allow you to exchange it back and forth with the company for actual silver or for like fiat currency. They were comparing it to the Ithaca hour. So Ithaca, New York started printing their own paper currency, like based on man hours of like late manual labor.
Yeah.
So as long as you like don't claim it's legal tender and everyone just agrees to keep trading it back and forth, this company serves as the hub for the exchange where you can like actually give them money and then they'll give you this paper certificate.
Interesting. So I was aware of this story, but I didn't know it was back up and running. So I'm curious to find out about these coins here. So I will definitely try to find out more about this myself, because if they have some of these in stock now, I wouldn't mind, testing them out and see what's going on with them. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
A network all around the country. I mean, they're kind of like just encouraging people to kind of trade it amongst themselves. Yeah. And then they serve as the on-ramp and off-ramp if you ever want to cash in or out. Yeah. So it's like a membership. They charge like $4.50 or $4.95 a month. And if you become a member of their organization, they sell them to you at like a discount. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, hey, good deal. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, my man. Appreciate you.
All right, cool, Mike. Have a good time, guys.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Later.
Interesting. Okay, so let's keep it moving right along. A couple more minutes and we'll get ready to dial back. I may see some comments up here. Let me get back to the chat. Let me see here. It says 1 trillion. The trillions went to fill and try to patch central banks' buckets to fill the bucket, but master the bucket as a whole. Yeah, man. Trying to fill a bowl with a bucket with a hole in it. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, Mike. It's Barnight Broker from the internet.
How you doing, my man? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm great. Are you thinking about that chain that you didn't pick up or what?
So I do have a chain, but as I mentioned, I don't wear it frequently. But I don't need multiple chains. I don't. It wouldn't be my style. So let me
You
ask
would
you a
already
question.
made $200 on it on spot price.
So listen. So let me ask you a question. Do you wear gold chains yourself?
Yeah,
You wear more than
I
one?
do. Yeah, I will.
You will.
It
Okay.
just depends. The ones I wear are pretty big, so I mean, it really doesn't matter whether it's one or two or three. They're all really good size.
Okay. So
But they get a lot of attention. If I didn't carry a couple pistols, I probably would never wear them. Especially now.
I understand that, my friend. So what got you involved with, like, so I'm assuming you just like jewelry in general and you decided to up your game and make it, authentic, and you got diamonds on them, or just chains?
No, I'm not really into diamonds. I just like the gold. I started buying it back in the early 2000s, and the price kept going up. I think when I started buying it, it was around $250 an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gradually creeped up, and then in about 2008, it hit $1,000 an ounce. So I got paranoid. I had so much of it. I had a couple buddies that didn't like going anywhere with me because they had important jobs, and basically I looked like a drug dealer. And then the next time they would see somebody they'd seen, they would say, "Hey, who is that guy with you? Is he a drug dealer or something?" And so they would always give me shit. And finally one day when it hit I told my buddy, I said, when it hits $1,000, I'll sell all of it, because I never really thought it would.
Yeah.
And then it did. So I sold off most of it, and been buying it back since about 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
But
Man.
it's hard to find good stuff. And if you ever want to find anything good and you're looking on like eBay or something, you always want to search for used items, not new ones.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yes. I mean, I'm not really into jewelry, so I don't really go searching for them. I look for some rounds before I look for them, but I appreciate your encouragement, man. So definitely, I definitely won't be wearing it like out in public nowadays, especially as things get ugly. But I definitely, it's good to have as a exchange of value down the line.
Well, the cool thing about it is if you buy it right, after it goes over spot,
Mm-hmm.
usually a lot of times these used pieces will need to be polished or have a small repair done or something like that on them. But after you get over a certain dollar amount on them, you really don't mind selling them, just because it's time to make the money, and then you can start to search all over again. It's like looking for a treasure on the internet.
Yeah. Good point. Hey,
that's
man.
why I like it. It just gives me something to do, another hobby, something else to look at and buy. I always try to look for that diamond in the rough,
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's a way of diversifying. Definitely, you got your weight around your neck, so that's definitely real, man.
But it is dangerous, and when you have really nice, like that one that I sent you the link for that you looked at.
Yeah.
Man, that thing draws so much heat, man. You probably wouldn't even want to tell anybody it's gold. I'd lie and say it was silver.
Yeah, I keep it under my shirt anyway. So I'm not like one of them guys that's off flashing it like that. So that's not me. I like to just be low key.
I seen the one that you were wearing that one day, and the actual perfect length is a 24 inch, and you can usually hide it under a t-shirt if you want to.
Yeah. I do. Well,
not that you should have to or want to hide it, but there are situations, you get in even armed. I'm in situations sometimes where I don't want to have to shoot somebody because they're desperate and want to rob me.
Yeah. I try to avoid all that stuff, man.
You live in a lot more dangerous area than I do. I'm in the middle of Illinois. You're in Detroit.
Yeah, and I know where to go and I know where not to go. So I make sure I stay in my own lane. But hey, man,
yeah, that's definitely the thing to do. And there's nothing wrong with having something and keeping it tucked away, except for special occasions. Like an expensive wristwatch or something like that.
I agree, man. But hey, man, good talking to you. I got a couple more callers here. I'm gonna get off, but appreciate you, my man.
Okay, Mike. Have a good night, brother.
Yes,
Thanks.
sir. Be good. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. So we have been over an hour, man. So time be flying, man, for real. But it's always good to hang out with my people. So I appreciate everybody who's gave me a call. So take this last call tonight. Don't want to be rude, and then we'll get ready to sign off. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Oh man, hey, I didn't think I was gonna get through with Joe again, man. How you been?
I'm doing good, Joe. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Man, I just wanted to say I was talking to some banks. I've talked to about 3 or 4 banks. I was gonna ask everybody else and see how they feeling about it, but man, it doesn't even feel like they're trying anymore. It doesn't feel like they're trying to even to help people anymore, man. It's like when you talk to them, it's almost like they don't even want to lend out money.
So,
you know,
so give me your rundown. Like, so you've been trying to take out a loan recently, or what's going on?
No, I was entertaining, and they're gonna laugh at me about this, but I was entertaining a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I talked to several different people, and they're like, it's almost like, so it's one thing to even try, but these guys are just kind of like, nah, whatever. I just want to just get through whatever I'm going through and just move on with life. And it's like, man, I'm like, this is crazy. Nobody's even trying, man. So it's really crazy. I just wanted to share that and see if anybody else had the same experience. Like, it's just crazy. It's almost like the banks don't even care anymore.
Yeah. So I'd imagine, based upon the announcement 2 weeks ago that the banks have been given permission to roll into the cryptocurrency storage and offering. So I'd imagine, and even I think a couple months ago, a caller called in mentioning that his bank is ramping up their servers. So I'd imagine they're probably literally, winding down, getting rid of coins now, paper soon. They're going to close a lot of the small local branches everywhere. Everything will be done online, and then they're going to roll into the crypto space and digital currency crap, whatever. So I'd imagine that they're probably in transition phase right now, probably.
That's what it seems like. It almost seems like they just gave up on this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what it seems
man.
like.
But yeah, so definitely. So if they've given up, but yet think about it, there's more than enough currency that people have in those banks that people think that they're going to be able to get out when stuff hits the fan the way that it probably will.
Look, I told my wife, I said, look, I'm done with him. Mm-hmm. It's so we're about to just take everything, man, and make a like you always say, get our weight up at this point, because we're not bad off, so we're just gonna get our weight up, man.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Keep doing what you do, boss. Appreciate you calling.
Yep.
All right, be good.
Be well.
Yep. All righty, people. So that is it. As always, it's good to hang out with you guys. If you've enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up, as well as you can visit any of the information down below and any free resource. And also, in the meantime, I still am offering the RTD coins, and so prices have gone up because the sourcing of silver has been a little bit scarce, but for anybody that does have interest, I've shipped out some this past week and shipping out every week for the most part because people are getting their weight up. So if anybody's interested, you can visit rethinkingadollar.com, go to the store and just click on that, and you can do what you got to do. And they'll be delivered to you as always. And they're one of a kind. And we're coming down to the end of the limited edition side of things because I'll get ready to roll out my next little coin or whatnot. So other than that, that's it. Everybody be blessed, be safe. I will see you guys tomorrow, Lord willing. Stay prayed up and definitely keep the people in Lebanon as well as world leaders in your prayers, because we need divine intervention from the Lord himself and all this stuff we're dealing with. But I'm reminded of a scripture says he did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So that's what I've been meditating on lately. So anyway, with that being the case, peace.